We get the Scry here, which is nice. It's the same as the Negate. And those are two of the best spells to pull off the top right now. We get the block. And we get the win! Woo! Hey everybody, welcome back, and thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to watch Hello Good Game. We're back with another free-to-play deck for you guys, 100% budget, 0 rares, 0 mythics, only using commons and uncommons, also known as an artisan deck. And if you're interested in playing decks that don't have mythics and rares in them and you want to win cash prizes, you know, I've got a monthly artisan tournament going on, so jump into the Discord, check that out. And this is a blue mill variant, and you know, mill is so strong right now that I had to do it because, you know, with free-to-play decks, the power level is trimmed, right? You're not going to be as competitive about 90% of the time, so we have to do our best to juice as much out of the lemons as we can possibly get, right? So we are utilizing the Rune Crab, of course, and Teferi's Tutelage, some of the most broken blue cards within Zendikar Rising that, you know, commit deck suicide for your opponent. Breaking down each individual card, why it was chosen to be included in the deck, its purposes, its weaknesses, you know, your general strategies and synergies, everything you need to know to get the deck running and operating as effectively and efficiently as possible. Coming up in our deck deep dive. If you're not interested in that though, you can use the chapter section to skip ahead to the gameplay. I do plead and basically beg everybody to give me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel for even more content, and share the channel out to your friends, whether it be a link or word of mouth. You know, wear that mask, of course. With that all out of the way, again, thank you all for your time and attention. Let's dive into this free-to-play Mythic rank mono blue mill deck. We mentioned the Rune Crab. Let's start there. This is a 0/3 with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you mill a billion cards. You mill 3 cards from your opponent's library. This is great because, you know, if you're not playing a non-land permanent, so like an instant, or I guess those aren't permanents, but if you're playing a non-land spell like an instant or sorcery, or, you know, even a creature, it is of some value, right? Typically, lands become dead weight when we pull our 7th plus. They don't really do anything for us unless we have a great big mana sink in play. The Rune Crab and the landfall ability specifically here makes every land we pull, you know, one of the greatest cards. It's just mill 3 right on your land. It's very, very good. Typically, if we want to mill 3 cards from our opponent's library, that's going to cost us, you know, at least 1 mana. So the Rune Crab makes all of your lands very worthwhile and high value. This is, you know, exemplified within lands that we can sacrifice. In this deck, as it is free to play, we're using Evolving Wilds. This enters the battlefield as a land, and then we can sack it immediately, allowing us to search our library for another basic land and having it come into play. So that will be 2 lands entering the battlefield on top of our crab in 1 turn, which is really cool. Of course, the crab is a non-legendary, so we can stack this creature. We can have 4 copies of the crab in play, and we can hold our wilds as long as we can without hurting our mana curve, right? Because we do want to be playing, you know, as effectively and keeping pace with our opponent. We don't want to brick on purpose. But if we have the choice, we can choose to keep our Evolving Wilds kind of, you know, in the wings until we have crabs in play, and then really get some effectiveness out of them. Because, you know, to mill 6 cards with 1 land is crazy. If you have 2 crabs in play, that's 12 cards. 3 crabs is 18. Woof, right? So you can see how effective the Rune Crab is. Not to mention, it's a 3 toughness creature. That's a great blocker against most aggro decks. It's going to allow you, you know, a couple turns to get situated until you can start pulling some other forms of disruption. Here we run with counter spells and bounce spells. So if something hits the field that we can't deal with right away, we can always bounce it back and then deal with it. But anyways, the Rune Crab 0/3 with landfall. This is the main engine of the deck. Something that my heart grows in size, my eyes light up, endorphins start firing if I see it in my draw hand, right? Rune Crab in your draw hand with some land, go, go, go. That's going to be a great match for you. Other engines in the deck, Teferi's Tutelage. Now, this is a 3-drop, an enchantment, so it's a little bit pricey, and we do typically have to take the turn off from holding up counter magic. We do, again, have a lot of disruption in the deck, whether it be, counter spells. We have to take the turn off, right? We can't wait until we have 6 mana to play the Tutelage. It's not going to be nearly as effective then. And, if you can survive until turn 6 without playing your Tutelage, good on you. But again, this is a non-legendary. We can stack it, so that's where it truly shines. And the longer it's in play, the better. The same thing goes if it's in your draw hand and you have the land to get there. Absolutely amazing. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. So, you get to kind of cycle something into your grave and look for a better answer for the situation that you're in at the time. And of course, whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. The mill of 2 cards every time you draw is great. So, there's 2 things that you basically do every turn. Play a land and draw a card. So these engines are great because they don't rely on anything else. Some other engines like Fairy Vandal, for example, is like whenever you draw your 2nd card each turn, right? So that's something you have to do. You have to cast another spell or utilize something that's in play already to draw another card, right? That's going to spend your mana. Whereas the playing of a land spends no mana. You actually gain mana in that situation. And the drawing of a card, typically, at least on your upkeep, spends no mana either. It's a free draw. You get one every turn. So, if you can be milling for 5 every turn for free, that's very, very good. And, again, a stackable ability on the Tutelage and the crab. So, even just with 1 copy of each, that's milling for 5 for free each turn. And we can stack these up and, go absolutely haywire. Once we do have them stacked up, Into the Story becomes one of my favorite cards. This is for 7 converted mana, so very expensive at instant speed, and it does cost 3 less to cast if our opponent has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. Obviously, we're milling them with things like the crab and, more things that we'll touch on in a second. So having them get 7 cards in their graveyard is no big deal. They should have way more than 7 cards in their graveyard by the time that we get to 4 mana, which is how much we'll have to pay with the reduction of 3 taken off of it. And of course, at instant speed, we get to draw 4 cards. The drawing of 4 cards will trigger for each Teferi's Tutelage in play the mill of 8. Obviously, 2 times 4 is 8. So we're drawing 4 cards. We're milling for 8. And, there's very good chances within that draw that we're picking in some lands for our Rune Crab, if not more Rune Crabs. And, maybe even some more Tutelages as well. So very, very good here. These are the 3 main pieces of the deck. Rune Crab, Teferi's Tutelage, Into the Story. Super, super basic and super, super powerful. We do have some other really cool things within the deck, like Relic Golem. This is a 6/6, and it cannot attack or block unless our opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Again, this is no big deal. We should have this done by turn 2, turn 3 easily. It's a 6/6. It needs to be addressed. Better than that, it can pay 2, tap it, for our opponent to mill 2 additional cards. Not great, but it's not bad, right? It's a body. It's something that a Gruul deck has to try to get through, right? They can't just force feed you attackers, basically. So it slows down a lot of the aggro decks. And not only do we get the nice blocker, but if we have spare mana left over, we can, get a little bit more mill going on as well. So that's, basically it. The rest of the deck just comes into disruption. Of course, the Merfolk Secretkeeper is maybe the last mill-focused card here that's not disruption-based, and it has Venture Deeper for 1, which is really, really good. Target player mills 4 cards for 1 mana. That's as good as it gets, unless you're a Rune Crab, and it's a 0/4 defender. Not a defender, but, who would attack with a 1-power creature? That's straight flexing. So again, a nice little mill, and you get some protection from those aggro attacks. Stern Dismissal. Instant speed for 1, return target creature or enchantment an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Like I said, if you don't have counter magic up yet and there's like a early game interaction that's really annoying you, you can always bounce it back to your opponent's hand on their end step. And now, your mana untaps, and now you've got counter magic available and your mana available, and then you can deal with it when they recast it. So Stern Dismissal is actually really, really nice. 2 copies of Negate, also at instant speed to counter target non-creature spell. Basically stopping Ugins, stopping, any form of shenanigans that's going to seal the deal against you. Even maybe removals on your crab to protect them. 2 copies of Into the Roil, and I cannot explain how helpful this card is in the deck. For 2, you can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If it was kicked, draw a card. The kicker costs you an additional 2. Again, the drawing of the card can potentially trigger your Teferi's Tutelage, which can be quite nice. And the ability to bounce either something our opponent plays back to their hand, like I mentioned, so we can counter it later on, or even bouncing something that we own back to our hand can be quite handy. So, we could play the Secretkeeper, bounce it to our hand, and that opens up the ability to play the Adventure again. So, that's not that bad. That's a very cheap mana interaction. And we can also bounce, maybe something like Teferi's Tutelage, again, allowing us to draw a card and then discard a card, having our opponent mill 2 in the interaction. So, the Into the Roil can help us defensively. It can also help us offensively with a little bit more mill. 4 copies of Frantic Inventory for 2 at instant speed. Draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard. So, if your opponent is milling you, if you get inventories in your graveyard, that's going to boost the effectiveness of your future ones. And of course, each one you use will in turn do the same thing. 3 copies of Anticognition for 2 at instant speed, countering target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 2. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, instead counter this spell, then scry 2. So, they're always going to have 8 or more cards in their graveyard. That's almost a given. So this is a really nice counter creature and planeswalker spell for 2, because typically we're using Essence Scatter for 2 to counter creature spells, but that doesn't counter non-creature spells, planeswalker spells. We have to use our negates for that. So this way, we can use creature and planeswalker in Anticognition and just leave the negates for, the extinction events and what have you. Ugins. Extinction events, can still get our crabs, sadly enough. Moving forward, we talked about the tutelage. Didn't say please. More disruption and counter magic for 3 at instant speed. Counter target spell, its controller mills 3 cards. So not only are we getting the disruption, but we're getting a little bit of extra mill on the back end as well, which is so nice. We mentioned the Relic Golem, and we already talked about Into the Story, mentioning Into the Wilds, and Mystic Sanctuary is pretty cool. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more islands, which, it basically will. This is a poor man's Fable Passage, but it gets better than that, because when it does enter the battlefield untapped, you may put a instant or sorcery from our graveyard on top of our library. Into the Story, right? Play those back to back? Yes, please. That's going to be amazing. So that's the play line there. And, that's your deck list. As far as your strategies and synergies go, stack that crab, stack that tutelage, and into the story we go. If you do need defensive creatures, Relic Golem is great. Typically, we don't attack, but it is an option if your opponent has no offensive capabilities and he's out there able to, and you've got no mana to do the mill with him. Go get him, Tiger. Deal that 6 damage, right? That's a big hit. And, just disruption, negate, anticognition, stern dismissal, didn't say please, right? You've got the frantic inventory if you're not casting counter magic. So the way it works is you hold up your mana, you counter their spells. If they don't play spells that weren't countering or any spells at all, then you use your draw abilities, which is quite nice. So, that's the deck tech, you guys. I hope you learned a little bit, and you're going to enjoy Mono Blue Mill within Mythic rank and MTGA Arena. We do have a positive win rate, which is nice. And, for a mill deck in general, that's enough. I think I've tried mill for the last 2 years on and off, and I might get a 30% win rate using a mill deck. So to get above 50 is, absolutely amazing. Not to mention, we're actually using no rares, no mythics here, all free to play. Typically you don't want to invest a lot of wild cards like your rares and mythics into a deck that's not super competitive. Mill's not super competitive. This still gives you a chance to play it, see what it's about, feel the fury of the crab for yourself rather than the hatred. And yeah, so just good times, you guys, right? If, Mill's not your flavor, check out my free-to-play playlist. We've got new free-to-play decks every week, 0 rares, 0 mythics, slapping it down in Mythic rank. So, I appreciate your support. And if you did find any value, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you soon after the gameplay footage for our wrap-up thoughts. Enjoy. This isn't a great hand, but we're going to keep it anyways. The Frantic Inventory can get us there. Start that mill up. 1 Ugin off the top. That's already a win as far as I'm concerned. Let's try to draw our third land. If not, we have Negate, right? If there's Tome, we can negate it. If not, we can inventory for our third land. We do get it. No crab. Land in play. Pass our turn. We have Negate. We can draw it if not. Let's crack our land open here. So they're at 4, ready to play 5. Yes, Tutelage in play. Let's toss a Relic Golem because we know they've got lots of removal. So our creatures are basically useless. We get a Tome to the grave, which is nice. Let's see if we can get a few more Ugins. 2 Garriks and an Ugin. Wow, that is a good value for 1 mana. They're down to 40. We're at 44. You know, I thought we've been milling more than that. I guess not. They're going to be playing our Frantic Inventory, which is smart, right? That makes our other 2 less effective. Plus Nightmare gets into our hand. It does so at the beginning, and it's non-creature, non-land, so they get to take some form of non-creature spell, like the Negate, like the Stern Dismissal. Relic Golem in play, I guess. These can just sit here. They're useless without attackers attacking us. Into the Roil is better to hold up. Ouch, right? What do they take? There's a lot of good cards, and they get to pick from all 4 of them. Stern Dismissal is good against creature or enchantment. Didn't say please is good against most things, because it has the mill with it. And the Negate's really good against their Ugins and their Garriks. They're sitting on 5 land, which I think is Garrick territory, for 6. Right, if they play their 6. We do have the Negate open though, so, you know, that is helpful. Turn, you do get the mill. Boom. Not bad. This will be our 6th land. The Relic Golem can start hitting now, which is good because then it pulls our removal, their removal, and more importantly, their mana. So it's a Soul Shatter. I have no problem with that. Let's end our turn. We lose our graveyard, so the Relic Golems, you know, not seeing much play, even though we still have them up above 6. They do exile their own graveyard with the escape of Clinton Dust, so long term it does become viable, but early on it can become a little awkward, right? Because they can just dump their spare mana in, but you know, as we mill the majority of their deck, I don't think they can quite keep up, and you know, if that is how they choose to spend their mana each turn, then you know, I think that's gonna be fine. This is all on their step, just looking for land, I guess, right? Just pass our turn. We need them to play anything. Right, they're just trying to get that Ugin off, right? So we need more counter magic. It's fine. Again, they're spending their mana every turn to draw, which is good. I won't dispute that. Right, they're at 7 land here. Crawling Barrens is scary. That's why we have Into the Roil. Stern Dismissal. They have to discard here, I think. Yeah. Where's our crab? I guess we just play the land. We could keep it. We have 4 crabs still chilling. Well, this is annoying. It has super duper hexproof. Who runs that? Wow. Are you kidding me? Perfect counter to our deck. LOL. We're playing free-to-play Magic. Can you give it a break? Like, really? Wow, I can't even. I can't even. That's too much. Let's get these defenders in play. Absolutely ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. And where are these crabs? I guess we just bounce our own Secretkeeper and just mill with... They're exiling. Yeah. We're just gonna take the damage. The draw triggers the tutelage, and then we get to re-mill with it. Man, that sucks. And we get hit for a big old 6 in the choppers again. We'll take a crab off the top. Please. How hard is it to get a rune crab? Down to 17. Hey? Mill 4. Walker in play. Where is that crab? It's in an 11% chance to draw it. We have 4 available mana. We should have cracked one of the wilds last turn. I'm sure there's removal on the Secretkeeper. That takes them away from their mana to use on Planeswalker though, right? It keeps us away from Negate, takes them down to 5. It does mill them though. From 12 down to 9. And then they just kill it with Nethroi. Which means we're just hit for 6. We need to pull a crab off the top. We have 5, 6 mana. Down to 2. Where's our crab, baby? 11%. That's not it. So that's game. We have 7 mana. We have to cast this for 3. That would work. We're gonna bounce our tutelage. Thanks, Mr. Crab. I wanted to play the tutelage again, but we gonna crab out. We gonna crab out. That's the first crab of the match as well. And we held the land just for such an occasion. Oh no, that only does 6. We just screwed that up. But we do have our negate here. That can stop the removal. And then we can still block. Question mark. We've got no cards. lot of mana. They can't draw with Cling. They could gain life with it. They need removal. Hopefully all of it's in their grave. And we have counter magic, which they can see. So this is pretty awkward. Did we get it? It's close. That Baloth was a perfect counter for us. Like, hexproof? Ugh. Ah! I didn't know creatures came with hexproof anymore. We still have 3 crabs in deck, which is crazy. I thought blue mill decks had all the crabs always in their opening hand. Yeah, they have to double spell us. That's not it. We get the Scry here, which is nice. It's the same as the Negate. And those are 2 of the best spells to pull off the top right now. We get the block. And we get the win! Woo! Going first is great, but we don't have any crabs. Where's all of the crabs, you guys? I mean, it feels like an awkward thing to just yell out, like, I've got crabs, and be so happy about it, but... You know, maybe this works out. We have a Relic Golem, which can get in the way of them, at least. We take the draw here, it looks like, as well. I guess. Right, that'll help us survive. We don't really want creatures in play. Ever! Again, we have a counter. If there's no counter needed, we've got our... They're only playing for 2, so maybe there's not a play and we do get the turn off to draw. That would be so good! Nice, we do get the draw. That's awesome. Okay, not really. We can counter that, kind of. Just popping it back to the hand. Crab in play, I love it. Land in play. I'm gonna play the Golem now. That means they're playing on their turn here, right? They're doubling down on the Relic Golem. Instead of taking the crab. I love it! Let's grab a land with the tutelage. I guess we toss the dismissal. Our opponent's milling. No attacks. This is a scary deck. And it's a big deck as well. They've got well over 70 cards. Yikes. The Negate is really good. Let's take our draw for 2. Flip land regularly for Didn't Say Please. Keeping the wilds so we can stack crabs. Wow, they're down to 54. Still more cards in library than they should have. Unless they mulliganed, I guess. But then they've got a bunch on field already, so... Doesn't make any sense! Why are people running so many cards? Are you guys that scared of mill decks? I get it. But, you know, don't be. How am I supposed to mill you? Alright, let's just negate that. If they have more removal, they are so lucky to have that many cards in deck and be pulling, like, mass removal. Because they already spent 2 of their removals. I mean, albeit they're drawing quite nicely, but... Yikes. We need to bounce that. It's disgusting how many cards they have in their library. We need more than this. We need our Into the Story in a big way. Because we're getting hammered. Whoa. Mad Ratter? This man is daring. We need Into the Story. It's not it. Oh, that Phoenix of Ash. Disgusting. Deep breaths. And they're playing Magic Mirror. They hate Mill. Oh my gosh. 200 card deck on the rise. We've got him down to 33, which is incredible. But this Phoenix is in play, and we're getting hit for 6 a turn. We're on a 3-turn timer. Minimum. Things are looking unpleasant. Very grim. Less than ideal. Oh, good game. Magic Mirror in play. It does help us, but it's going to help them more. Oh. Oh my god, it's not enough, but it's so close. Can we survive one more turn? No, because this thing can increase its power. Shoot! That sucks so bad. Sucks so bad. A little bit earlier, we could have had it. And if there was no flying, we could have had it as well. We get close. Right? We get so close. This is an unconventional deck, and hopefully they don't realize they've got lethal. Down to 10, and they had like a 90 card deck or something, so pretty gross. Less than ideal. Oh wow, Thunder Raptor for 15. They can still pump the Phoenix. Hopefully they don't realize it. They're looking at it now. They're like, why is this lighting up? Don't do it. They do it. Ah! We were so close. We should have had that. The only reason they beat us is because they ran a 1,000 card deck. Like, ludicrous. Our opponent goes first. We've got a very nice hand if we can pull land. 2 crabs, tutelage, story. Can we get it out before we die? The death touch sucks. We need lands. We need lands. And we need more lands. Alright, we need to get these 2 tutelages out. Turn 3, turn 4, story turn 5. Ooh, lots of death touch. I'm scared. Oh! Oh, and they get our crab. He didn't say good game. He missed the whole half of it. Bounce that right back to where it came from. To whence you came. Third land. Ouch. Well, we've lost this game. Just again bricked. Brickily doos. If we don't pull 2 lands off the top, it's over. We have to sack our Secret Keeper here. Please let us draw. Discard a card. Well, at this point, we just have to hope we get a land. They're at 40, so there's no way this works. It's over. I mean, bricking just shuts everything off. No attacks. I guess we discard our tutelage, play story. Ouch. Ouch. The thing is, we can't survive next turn. We're just dead. So I wish we could play tutelage and then survive one turn, but... Unless it pulls a Stern Dismissal, which is sitting at... Oh, I don't know, 0%. We already pulled it. No, we've got 2 more. 4.26% chance. And we do have to go for it because, you know, Into the Story doesn't get us victory either, so... You know, 5% chance we get to play it next turn. No. Good game. That's rough. That is rough. No attacks. I mean, there's no reason for us to be here. We get hit for 8! 8, you guys! That's insane! Alright, we go first. We have 2 crabs in hand and 3 land. Which means we shouldn't brick. Hopefully these crabs can survive. And we'll go from there. It's a crab off, ladies and gentlemen. We have a crab off. Grab a leg. Crab leg, that is. Right, they've got a lot of removal going on. Let's go Ultra Mill here, real quick. Ooh, we snag him into the story. That's always fun. And just like that, we've got 10 Gonzo. They're gonna kill a crab, though. They're gonna kill a crab, though. Oh! Oh, that hurts! I really want to draw with Royal. 38 cards in library. We're at 48. We need more crabs. We need Teferi's Tutelage. They've pulled so many lands off the top, and we have so many lands. Why wouldn't they kill the Rune Crab? Interesting. Okay, that's a big mill. We lose a tutelage. It's awesome. Last turn. We're ready for an Into the Story as soon as they tap. We are at 33. They're at 33. We're down to 30 now because they pulled a passage. How elitist of them. Ooh, they get another crab. They're looking through our library at their kills. Ha 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 ha. This guy's not using a single rare or mythic. It's gonna be an easy win for me. Right? That's what's going through their mind. Me too. So much land. What is up with all the land? That is disgusting. There's no counters. You know, we have Interruption. We have pulled all of the land that we would have needed for all of our other matches. It's kind of funny how sometimes that goes. So we negate this because it's a non-creature, and we prioritize the didn't say please on whatever else it may be. Because it gets everything, right? We get a tutelage in the grave from them, and a passage, which is nice. And our crab survives. They're down to 21, we're at 22, so we're keeping pace. Oh, thank you, Teferi's Tutelage. Going a land. That's awesome. More mill. That's awesome. Playing a land, more mill. That's awesome. Woo! No attacks. These Into the Roils can be kicked to take us home. Sure wish I had more Teferi Tutelage, more crabs. Another Into the Story sitting at... that was kicked. We're down to 8. They're at 15. Oh, I think they beat us. All they need to do is kick that one more time or play some land. Yikes. Kicking the crab. We could have kicked the tutelage back to our hand, maybe. We need to counter the crab is the thing, and we actually do pull the counter, which is real nice. They're at 10. And we have 7, so we could do both of those. We want to kick our tutelage back to our hand. Counter the crab, kick tutelage to our hand. We got to look through their library. There's 1 cacophony, 2 cacophonies, 3 cacophonies. We have to let it hit. I was gonna say, hopefully it's not passage. Oh, they get our crab, you dog. Right off the top. We have another tutelage, 25% for tutelage. Definitely their turn. They're gonna cling to draw. I'm fine with this. Puts them down to 8, which gets more doable. Kick the tutelage. We draw another. That's not good. Need to keep that counter spell up is the thing. But we also need lands to play in our crab. This is another mill, right? So the mill of 3, I think, gets us. There's a mill of 2. We just need a land. Yes! Woo! Let's toss our tutelage. So very good. And the land on the crab. Plus it brings our counterspell online. Woo! Woo! Love it. It wasn't bad. They had rares. They had mythics. We did not. So I really liked it. Of course, it is a mill deck, so you get what you expect. It's not something I would play competitively. It's not something that I would expect to be able to grind to mythic with, personally, because I would go insane. However, this is, in some opinions, as good as a mono red deck is. Instead of dealing the damage, you're milling those cards. But it's really going to require, you know, those rune crabs stacking up, the tutelage stacking up, and then being able to combo the stories on top of each other. So you can learn to play the deck and play it effectively. This deck did come in 2nd place within our Artisan tournament. And if you want to get in on that, we do hold one every single month with cash prize tournaments, free entry, you know, giving beginners a place to hone and fine tune their free-to-play skills, which is really cool. So again, check out our free-to-play playlist. We've got a lot of other videos there with 0 rares and 0 mythics that slap in mythic. And again, I just want to thank you all personally for your time and attention, helping me grow the channel. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm looking forward to crushing Kaldheim content with you guys. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm thinking there's going to be some busted free-to-play decks. That's for sure. All right, you guys, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.